It was a cold, eerie evening in New York. The October wind whispered through the streets, tossing dead leaves into the dimly lit sidewalks. Street lamps flickered occasionally, casting long, trembling shadows. Jackson Miller, 23, was bundled in a leather jacket, carrying a flashlight that barely cut through the gathering darkness. He walked beside his friend, Amy Wilson, who shivered despite her thick coat. Jackson had always been obsessed with mysteries, haunted places, and the unknown, and this obsession had finally dragged Amy along. She walked cautiously, eyes scanning the shadowed alleys around them. Every sound, the rustle of leaves, a distant car horn, even their footsteps, felt magnified in the cold night. The city felt unusually quiet, as though it was holding its breath. Amy broke the silence softly, whispering, "I don't know if this is a good idea. Are you sure this is safe?" Jackson asked, glancing over his shoulder. He tried to sound confident, but his voice trembled slightly. The tunnel entrance loomed ahead like a dark mouth waiting to swallow them whole. Moss clung to the cracked stone walls, and rusted metal bars warned of years of neglect. The faint smell of dampness and decay hung heavily in the air, making Amy wrinkle her nose. Shadows shifted unnaturally in the dim light of their flashlights, twisting into shapes that seemed alive. Every instinct told them to turn back, but curiosity and Jackson's excitement pushed them forward. The darkness seemed endless, stretching far deeper than the eye could see. Amy swallowed nervously, holding Jackson's arm for reassurance. The city above faded into a ghostly blur, leaving them alone with silence and the smell of mold. Jackson lit his flashlight and stepped carefully into the tunnel. Each footstep echoed back, distorted by the long, narrow walls. The air grew colder, heavier, as if the tunnel itself was inhaling and exhaling around them. Rusty water pipes overhead groaned with an ominous rhythm, almost like whispers from some unseen presence. Amy clutched her coat tighter, her knuckles turning white. The darkness seemed to press closer with every step, shadows forming shapes that danced just beyond the flashlight's reach. Jackson's heart beat faster, a mix of fear and adrenaline surging through him. He felt an odd thrill, a magnetic pull into the unknown that made him both excited and anxious. The further they went, the stronger the sense that they were being watched became. The tunnel seemed alive, almost breathing, and the air itself carried a faint metallic taste. After a few minutes, the tunnel split into two paths. Jackson hesitated for a moment, staring into the unknown before choosing the right. The walls were covered with scratches and strange carvings, almost as if someone or something had marked its territory over decades. Amy's voice trembled as she asked, "Jackson, what is that?" The flashlight flickered, casting moving shadows that looked like crawling figures. Every instinct screamed at them to retreat, but Jackson pressed on, drawn by curiosity he couldn't explain. A cold draft swept through the tunnel, sending shivers down their spines. Tiny droplets of water fell from above, plinking against the floor like ominous warnings. The silence was deafening, only broken by their nervous breaths and footsteps. Amy's anxiety grew with each step, sensing something malevolent watching them. They finally reached a small chamber cluttered with debris, rusted tools, and broken crates. The temperature dropped sharply, biting at their skin, and the damp, musty air was nearly suffocating. Jackson shined his flashlight around, revealing walls etched with unrecognizable symbols. Shadows flickered unnaturally in the corners, making the room feel alive. Amy held Jackson's arm, her voice shaking. "We should go back." The words barely left her lips before a faint whisper echoed through the chamber. It wasn't human. It sounded ancient and hollow, like something trapped between life and death. Jackson's pulse raced. The tunnel seemed to close in around them, twisting and stretching as if mocking their fear. A sudden cold gust of air brushed past their necks, and they both flinched. Every instinct screamed danger, but they were trapped in the tunnel's embrace. Suddenly, a shadow began forming along the far wall, tall and indistinct, moving closer without making a sound. Jackson froze, unable to look away, heart hammering against his chest. Amy gripped his hand tightly, whispering, "We need to run, now." The figure advanced slowly, silently, its presence pressing down on them like a heavy weight. The walls seemed to pulse in rhythm with their heartbeat. Panic surged as they turned to flee, but the corridors twisted unnaturally, looping back in impossible ways. Every turn brought them back to the same chamber, the same shadow looming closer each time. Jackson felt a cold dread settling in his stomach. Fear mingled with disbelief, creating a paralyzing tension that made each step feel heavier. Their breaths came in short, ragged gasps, echoing through the empty tunnels. After what felt like hours, they discovered a small door, partially open, with faint light spilling through the gap. Trembling, Jackson pushed it and they stepped inside. The room was golden-hued, lined with ancient pictures and carvings nearly 100 years old. In the center sat a small chest, trembling slightly, as if alive. Amy whispered, "Jackson, I don't like this." Her voice shook with fear, but curiosity pinned them both in place. Jackson took a deep breath, trying to steady himself, and slowly lifted the lid. A rush of icy air swept through the room, carrying with it a strange metallic scent. From the chest burst a blinding, flickering light that cast their faces in grotesque shadows. Then, as quickly as it came, it vanished, leaving the chamber in darkness. A deep, echoing voice rumbled through the room. "Why have you come here?" Amy screamed, her voice cracking with terror. Jackson's heart pounded violently as he stepped closer, only to find the chest empty. The room appeared exactly as before, but now the whispering from the tunnel was louder, more insistent, almost mocking them. They backed away, realizing that the tunnel had shifted them somewhere beyond the natural world. Time and space felt warped, and reality seemed distant. Panic settled like a stone in their chests as they stumbled toward another passage leading outside. When they emerged, the city seemed wrong, lights dimmed, streets eerily silent, and the cold metallic scent from the tunnel lingered. Amy held his hand tightly, whispering, "We can go home now. Let's just leave." Jackson nodded, but inside he felt the terrifying truth. They would never be free from the tunnel. Something had followed them, a force that would not release its hold. The Tunnel of Shadows was not just a place, it was alive, a sentient force drawing in anyone daring enough to face fear. For Jackson and Amy, this terrifying experience was only the beginning. Some doors never close. They remain open, waiting for the next unsuspecting souls.